Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be talking about AI.
Hey!
Specifically, we're going to be looking at this,
This new...
this new player that's been making waves.
Called DeepSeek?
DeepSeek, yeah.
From China.
From China, that's right.
Yes.
We're going to be looking specifically at this YouTube video by Drew Afrathi.
Yeah, he breaks down.
That breaks it down, yeah.
What makes DeepSeek so interesting?
So interesting.
DeepSeek is interesting because it's already been making waves in the stock market and in the tech world.
Yeah, and the thing that's really interesting to me is it seems like it's
outperforming
some of the giants.
ChatGPT, the big ones.
Yeah, and it's been developed for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, way less money.
Way less money. So that's really what has my attention peaked.
I think that's why everyone's paying attention.
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about DeepSeek's rise to fame here.
Well, it launched just a few weeks ago.
Okay.
January 20th, 2025.
Okay.
By a Chinese research lab, and the tech world's been buzzing ever since because it's been exceeding
expectations.
Yeah, the benchmarks are showing it's doing better than ChatGPT and Google's Gemini and Meta's Llama.
Okay, so it's not just hype. There's actual...
No, it's real.
Real data.
Real data.
That's backing it up. So who's the brains behind this operation?
That would be Liang Wenfeng.
Liang Wenfeng.
Yeah, the creator of DeepSeek.
Okay.
And he's kind of a mysterious guy.
Mysterious.
He's a former hedge fund founder.
Okay.
But he seems to like to stay out of the limelight. But what's interesting is his approach to developing DeepSeek.
Okay.
Instead of hiring a bunch of engineers,
right,
he got a bunch of PhD students from China's top universities.
Interesting. Interesting. And how much did this cost to develop? I'm curious.
Well, the reported cost is about $5.6 million.
$5.6 million?
Dollars.
That's a drop in the bucket compared to...
Yeah, I mean, American companies are spending billions.
Billions, yeah.
So it really makes me wonder if you need a massive budget to make a really good...
Yeah, to make breakthroughs.
AI, yeah.
Yeah, and this is where things get really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because DeepSeek is open source.
Open source.
Which means that anybody can download it and modify the code, which is a stark contrast to companies like
OpenAI, who keeps everything under wraps.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Some people are calling them closed AI.
Closed AI, that's funny.
Yeah.
What are the implications of this open source nature?
Well, for one, it's way more transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so users can see how DeepSeek is making decisions.
Okay.
Which can lead to more trust and understanding.
So we're not just talking about a black box where we just have to trust what it says.
Right, you can actually see the gears turning.
Wow, so how does it work?
So one of the interesting things is this chain of thought model.
Chain of thought, okay.
Which means that the AI is designed to think like a human. So Drew Afrathi gives a good example in the video of this question. Which is bigger, 9.11 or 9.9?
Okay.
And a lot of older models got that wrong.
They got that wrong, wow.
But DeepSeek got it right.
Interesting.
Because it was able to reason through it like a human would.
Yeah.
And what's even cooler is it can actually show you its thought process on the screen.
Wow, so you can actually see it thinking.
Yeah, like step by step.
That's incredible. That's got to be really useful for a lot of...
For things like healthcare.
Healthcare, finance.
Yeah, where you need to be able to understand.
Explainability.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay, so obviously we can't talk about DeepSeek without talking about this elephant in the room. Censorship.
Yeah.
So the video talks about how DeepSeek avoids answering any questions that are politically sensitive.
To China.
To China. Yeah, so give me some examples.
Like if you ask it about Tiananmen Square or criticize Xi Jinping,
right,
it'll just give you a generic answer.
It'll dodge the question.
Yeah, it'll dodge it completely.
It's interesting, though, because it's okay with criticizing other world leaders.
Yeah, it's a very interesting...
It's a very interesting distinction.
Discrepancy,
yeah. And so how does it know to do this? How is this programmed in?
Well, apparently Chinese AI models are asked 70,000 questions.
70,000 questions.
To make sure that they give safe answers.
Especially about politically sensitive topics?
Right.
Wow. Okay, so now some people might be thinking, okay, well, censorship, that's a deal breaker for me.
Right.
But here's where the open source nature comes back in.
Right. So you can
modify it?
You can download the code and modify it and actually remove the censorship yourself.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've seen companies like Perplexity AI and Microsoft, they've actually already done that.
They've already done that.
They've integrated DeepSeek's model into their platforms after removing the censorship.
So they've taken DeepSeek
and gotten rid of the censorship.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Okay, so we've talked about DeepSeek's origins, its features, censorship. How does it actually perform compared to these other chatbots?
Okay, so the Drew Afrathi video pulls data from artificial analysis and PCMag.
Okay.
And it does a comparison, and DeepSeek is really good at coding, quantitative reasoning,
Wow.
news knowledge, riddle solving,
It's good at everything.
and it scores really high on overall quality compared to the other guys.
But it's got to have some weaknesses. What are the weaknesses?
Yeah, so one thing is the response time can be slower than ChatGPT,
Okay.
but they think that's because a lot of people are using it right now.
Oh, so just server overload.
Yeah, so it could be a temporary issue.
Yeah, it's probably just growing pains.
Probably.
Okay, I want to know what's under the hood. I want to know what makes this thing tick.
Well,
How is it able to achieve this level of performance?
so they use something called the mixture of experts method.
Mixture of experts method?
Yeah, so instead of having one model that does everything, they have different models for different tasks.
So it's like a team of specialists.
Exactly.
Okay.
So instead of like your general practitioner,
Right.
it's like you have a team of specialized surgeons.
That makes a lot of sense. It's way more efficient.
Way more efficient.
Okay, so how is that different from ChatGPT?
So ChatGPT uses one model for everything.
Okay, and so that could be less efficient.
Less efficient, yeah.
So this mixture of experts really helps with the performance.
Exactly.
And now we have to talk about this copying controversy.
Yeah, so OpenAI is claiming that DeepSeek copied their models.
So essentially they're saying that DeepSeek is cheating.
They're saying that they used data that was trained on OpenAI's models.
Interesting. Is there any proof of this?
Well, DeepSeek hasn't responded.
Okay.
But it's funny because OpenAI has been sued by authors and news organizations.
For doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're saying that OpenAI trained their models using their content without permission.
Oh, the irony. So this is really interesting because the U.S. tried to slow down Chinese AI development.
Right, they put those export controls on the computer chips.
And those computer chips are like the brains of the operation, right?
Yeah, that's what they said you needed for a good AI.
And that's what companies like OpenAI
We're claiming.
were claiming, yeah.
But DeepSeek just made their own software that can use older hardware.
So they turned a limitation into an opportunity.
Exactly.
And now look at NVIDIA. Their stock is plummeting.
Yeah, because they make those high-end chips.
Those high-end chips.
And now it looks like you don't need them.
You don't need them, that's right. So investors are like, oh, maybe this isn't as good of an investment as we thought.
Right.
So DeepSeek is really changing the game.
It's a huge turning point.
Yeah. What do you think this means for the U.S. tech industry?
Well, they need to be more agile.
More agile, yeah.
Because innovation can come from anywhere.
And what about other countries like India that have a lot of technical talent?
Yeah, I think we could see...
Similar breakthroughs.
Yeah.
So what do we as individuals need to do?
Well, we need to learn about AI.
We need to learn about it.
We need to be ahead of the curve.
Stay ahead of the curve. That's right, because this is just the beginning.
It's only going to get bigger.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for part one. We're going to take a short break.
And then we'll be back.
We'll be back with part two to dive deeper into DeepSeek and everything AI.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. We were just talking about the open source nature of DeepSeek.
Yeah, and how that's really kind of shaking up the AI landscape.
Yeah, I think it's going to have some really big implications.
It feels almost like a philosophical debate.
It is kind of like...
Closed AI versus open AI.
Right, like what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, so what do you see as the biggest potential benefits of this open approach?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones is accessibility.
Accessibility.
Yeah, so it makes AI development way more accessible to more people.
More people.
Like people who don't have millions of dollars.
Right, they don't have to have these huge budgets.
Yeah, so researchers, developers, hobbyists,
Hobbyists, wow.
all over the world can use it.
So it's kind of like opening up the AI playground to everyone.
Exactly, and I think that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you get more creativity, more innovation.
More diversity.
Yeah, people from all different backgrounds.
And the benefits go beyond just innovation, right? What about transparency and accountability?
Absolutely, because when the code is open, anyone can look at it.
They can scrutinize it.
Yeah, they can see if there are any biases in it,
Right.
and they can propose improvements.
It's like a massive peer review process.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about all the benefits of OpenAI, but we got to be realistic. There's got to be some risks involved.
Of course, like any new technology.
What are some of the concerns that people have raised?
Well, I think one of the biggest concerns is misuse.
Misuse, yeah.
Because if anyone can access and modify the code,
Right.
there's a possibility that someone could use it for harmful purposes.
Yeah, like creating more convincing deepfakes
Or cyber attacks.
cyber attacks, yeah.
So we need to make sure that there are safeguards in place.
So how do you balance safety and security with openness and accessibility?
That's the million-dollar question.
That's the challenge.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
We need strong ethical guidelines.
Okay.
We need good security measures.
And education.
Yeah, we need to be talking about
We need to be having this conversation.
a global conversation about AI ethics.
Yeah, and it's not just for experts.
It's for everybody.
It's for everyone because it's going to affect everyone.
DeepSeek has really thrown this whole AI race into a new light.
It has. It's not about who has the most money or the fastest computers anymore.
It's a whole new game,
It's a new game, and it's about being open and innovative.
but also safe.
But also safe, yeah, finding that balance.
And it's interesting to see how companies like Microsoft and Perplexity AI have responded,
Right, they're embracing DeepSeek's
even
model.
though it's from a competitor,
Yeah, they're putting competition
for
aside.
progress.
Yeah, they're realizing that open AI is the way to go.
So for individuals, what do we need to be doing?
I think we need to be proactive.
Proactive about learning about AI.
Yeah, learning about it, developing new skills.
Because this is just the beginning.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
And there are so many resources available now.
Yeah, online courses, tutorials, AI-powered tools.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
It really is. The possibilities are endless.
We started this deep dive talking about DeepSeek's impact on the stock market.
Yeah.
And that's a great metaphor for the disruption it's causing.
It really is. It's shaking things up.
It's challenging the old guard
The old way of doing things.
and forcing everyone to innovate.
To be better, to be faster, to be more efficient.
So DeepSeek is a catalyst for change.
It really is.
And what do you think this means for the future of AI accessibility and development? Could this lead to a more globalized AI landscape?
I think it could. If DeepSeek inspires more open source AI projects,
Yeah.
we could see a much more decentralized AI landscape.
Where everyone has a voice.
Yeah, not just a few big companies.
So it's not just about competition between countries.
Right, it's about collaboration.
Working together
Working together to solve problems.
to solve the world's biggest problem.
Exactly, like climate change, healthcare, inequality.
So many possibilities.
So many possibilities.
But we need to be intentional about fostering an ethical AI ecosystem.
We can't just let it happen. We need to guide it.
We need to support open source initiatives,
Invest in education.
create spaces for dialogue.
Yeah, and it's not just up to governments and corporations.
It's up to all of us.
Everyone has a role to play.
So to our listeners, keep exploring the world of AI.
Ask questions, challenge assumptions.
The future of AI is in our hands.
It's up to us to shape it.
NSEEK has really shaken things up, and we're only just getting started with this AI revolution.
Yeah, it feels like a turning point.
What do you think comes next?
I think we're going to see even more innovation, even more breakthroughs.
Yeah, the AI landscape is changing so rapidly.
It's hard to keep up.
We need to be prepared for anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as we've been talking about this open source nature of DeepSeek, I've been thinking about
Yeah.
the potential impact on education.
Oh, yeah.
Could this make AI development accessible to like students,
Totally.
researchers who don't have the resources?
It could democratize AI education
Imagine students anywhere in the world can just download this code.
and start playing with it, experimenting.
And it's not just education, it's also startups.
Startups, small businesses.
Small businesses.
Yeah, they don't have millions of dollars.
Right.
But they can still use these powerful tools
To innovate.
to create new things.
DeepSeek has also sparked a lot of conversation about AI ethics.
Yeah, the transparency is really important.
Do you think this will force developers to be more mindful
I think it has to.
of the biases and the risks?
When everyone can see the code,
Yeah.
you have to be more careful.
It's like being under a microscope.
Yeah, and users can demand more.
They're not just passive anymore.
They can actually shape the development of the technology.
This brings us back to that global conversation about AI ethics.
We need to be having this conversation.
It's more urgent than ever.
It's not just for experts.
It's for everyone.
Everyone's going to be affected by AI.
DeepSeek is a wake-up call.
It really is.
We need to start paying attention.
And making sure we're using AI for good.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I want them to be excited about AI,
Excited.
but also responsible.
Responsible.
It's a powerful tool
And we need to use it wisely.
for the benefit of everyone.
Well said. That's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of DeepSeek and the future of AI.
it's been a pleasure.
Keep those minds curious, and we'll see you on our next deep dive.